Good evening, NFL fans. It's Marco Duck Skyhopper here on the Sports Insanity Network, brought to you by the Dugout of Millwood with its co-signer sponsor, the Top Notch Sports Club. Well, I know we've all missed football season, but baseball season's here. We're happy, but football is life here at SIN, and we got a big event coming up in about a month. It's the NFL Draft. And it's hard to pick what's going to happen because one pick that changes over time changes an entire draft, just like Oakland screwing up everybody's NCAA tournament bracket. It's just how it works.
Thanks
So
for
what we're going to
nothing,
do
Kentucky.
So what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is we're going to come to you with 10 picks through the first 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and then 20 to 32 leading up to our grand live pre-draft show because a guy named Moser has to get wedding on draft day weekend to mess it up for everybody. My God, Nate.
Get wedding.
Yes. But we also have a guest joining us. Mr. Rudy Campos of Sweep the League is providing us as he will be doing the draft and building up with us towards other things. Dan will be melding in Rudy's picks into this fine podcast. But right now, we're going to give you the guy who always leads us and makes sure that we don't fight with each other. Mike, it's your show.
You know what I feel like at times? You know oh crap, I had the movie on the tip of my tongue. Robin Williams, Oh Captain, My Captain. It's a teaching movie.
Yes, I know the movie.
Hold on. Give me a second, people. I
Dan,
apologize.
you got to edit this because I'm an embarrassment right now.
Yeah, you are. But anyway, as Mark said, we're going to preview the draft. We're going to talk about the top 10
Dead Poet Society, my
Dead
God.
Poets Society. Thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. But as Mark said, we're going to preview the top 10 picks of the draft and then going forward until we get to all 32. And then we're going to do a live special. Things are always in motion. But that being said, I'm going to start this off by saying a cheers to David Tepper on having the number one overall. Oh my God, wait. The Carolina Panthers don't have the number one overall pick. That belongs to the Chicago Bears, who have already moved Justin Fields. He got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for whatever reason. So, Mark, at number one, the Chicago Bears select. Roger Goodell announces.
It's going to have to be Caleb Williams. Here's the problem. We haven't heard whether Caleb Williams is going to agree to play for the Bears as of yet. So we could be looking at an Eli Manning type situation. So I actually stick with the fact that Williams will be picked number one, but not by the Bears. I see a trade happening with the New England Patriots for the New England Patriots to move up to get their new franchise quarterback. And I think Caleb Williams will be very happy to start off trying to fill the shoes of Tom Brady.
So you think New England moves from 3 to 1?
Right. The
Yeah,
trade
Caleb.
revolves around that the Bears will receive a second and a fourth, as long as obviously the number 3 pick.
All right. All right.
Very small trade off, but with high pay grade.
All right. Dan.
Well, I thought that the Bears would make a trade if they didn't trade Justin Fields. Had they kept Justin Fields, yes, very likely they are definitely going to trade this pick. Didn't happen that way. So now I know for a fact they are definitely picking Caleb Williams. It's a can't miss pick. I'm sorry. It's can't miss. You cannot be like, you cannot be set up to take Caleb Williams, arguably the best quarterback in the draft, and not take him. That's ridiculous. He goes to Chicago and has a stellar career. He should be going to the Washington Commanders, but the Commanders blew the ball by not even thinking about talking about a trade.
Oh, we don't know how far those talks have gone, but
No, it never happened. They should have.
no,
They should have done it though. That's my opinion.
I'm with Dan. It has to be Caleb Williams. And by the way, applaud the Bears a little bit, bringing in Keenan Allen to pair up with DJ Moore. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And by the way, they've done more for Caleb Williams, who hasn't even taken a snap, than they did Justin Fields. That's a whole nother conversation.
Not to forget about DeAndre Swift as well.
DeAndre Swift as well. But I mean, this is a slam dunk. They had the number 1 pick last year. They moved off of it, traded it to Carolina. By the way, is there an alternate universe where Carolina just says, "Yeah, Bryce Young, it was a fun 1 year. We would draft Caleb Williams if we still had the 1 pick," but they don't have it. Sorry, David Tepper. All right. So all 3 of Caleb Williams going 1. The one caveat is Mark thinks there's a trade with New England on the board. All right, Dan, you're down in the DMV. So at number 2, the Commanders will take
The Jane Daniels. That's the talk right now. That's what a lot of the people around the Washington D.C. area are believing. It will be Jane Daniels at LSU. And I agree. And I think they're very high on him. Not shocking. He's good at being quarterback. Hopefully translates in the NFL, obviously. And, on top of that, you have a good management over Adam Peters doing a great job so far this offseason to get some type of weapons and some type of help for the quarterback. So Dan Quinn's going to have a really good squad to work with.
Mark.
This is actually a very tough decision. I really think that it depends on what happens with one and who ends up making the selection. I actually have the Washington Redskins. My God, the Commanders.
Stupid.
If Caleb Williams is traded, they make the decision and do not go with Daniels, and they go with Drake May. My reasons why is Drake May. I like Daniels. I think he's a great quarterback. I think Drake May is the better pocket passer. And when you have receivers like Dotson and McLaurin who can turn on a dime, that's what you need.
Yeah, again, I'm with Dan. I'm going Jaden Daniels. I think this is picking hairs. I think the one thing I like about Jaden Daniels, they brought in Austin Eckler, that zone read game. I think there's something there. And if Clifford, who's now the Bird and Commander, Cliff Kingsbury, Commander and Bird, if he can do kind of what he did in Arizona for Kyler Murray, he can make Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin eerily similar to Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. So we got 2 for Jaden Daniels and we got 1 for Drake May. Number 3 is the New England Patriots. This is where I think New England actually trades down. Because
Interesting.
New England isn't a quarterback away. If you go back and their receiver room stinks, their offensive line stinks, defense is above average. You need to put together a real team. So trade down, accumulate more picks, because there's another team that's in need of a quarterback. Because my cousin Kirk left for Atlanta, Minnesota Vikings, and they select Drake May.
It's an interesting move. I definitely like the option. Considering I have traded this pick already, and we've already moved up New England up, I'm keeping what I'm saying. And now Chicago's picking at the 3. And Chicago doesn't have a quarterback. This is where Jaden Daniels ends up going to Chicago. Chicago ends up with that trade, letting Caleb Williams go so they don't have to deal with a problem, end up with one of still the best quarterbacks available in Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels will do very well in Chicago, especially with like Mike and Dan both, but with the stuff they've started to build in that team.
Mike, can I say 3 for 3 here between us two? Because I also agree with you. I think the Vikings are going to trade up
Yeah.
to number 3 for the New England pick. I think the Patriots drop down to 11.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably get like a tackle or off some type of offensive line. But no, I think the Vikings are going to pick Drake May. I really do think that. I don't know if he's going to play right away because I think the Vikings,
Sam, I am.
yeah, they're going to take their time and they're
Yep.
going to develop him. But I do think they will pick Drake May. He'll probably take a year, maybe a few weeks or whatever. Sit behind, let some pros help him out, and boom, he'll be ready to go.
And the big thing on why I think Minnesota has to do this, whether it's move up in the draft or take somebody at 11, you paying the quarterback a rookie quarterback differing from paying Kirk Cousins is now you have to pay Justin Jefferson. You have to make sure you keep Thomas Jefferson's great grandson in line in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because now you don't have to make the decision. Kirk Cousins is gone. Now you bring in a rookie, give him the outlet pass. Going into a spot with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, plus TJ Hawkinson. Minnesota Vikings, who've had a low-key nice free agency on defense, could be coming quicker than you think. All right, Mark. Number 4 is the Cardinals. Where does Jonathan Gannon go?
Well, it's the only place he can go. And as much as I said that this was a possibility to be your first pick of the draft, obviously that's not going to happen. At number 4, Kyler Murray gets his wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see any other place this kid's he's not going to fall. There is no way Arizona passes on him. Murray needs a new DeAndre Hopkins, and that's it.
I mean, I want Marvin Harrison Jr. to fall to 10 so that the Jets can take him.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's not happening.
They'd have to
Unless
get
someone surfaced some rumors like Randy Moss or something, you know.
Zach Wilson. Come on. They're trying to get rid of the contract. I think
Zach Wilson for
if he's a number
Zach
2
Wilson
pick,
for the number 4
I-
overall pick.
I'm just saying.
Well, in case
Yeah,
Kyler decides to play more video games, I guess they need a quarterback.
It's going to be.
Kyler needs a stunt double.
But Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 4.
Yeah, this is a slam dunk. It's got to be Marvin Harrison Jr. Don't overthink it, Arizona. Just
but
don't.
Wishful thinking, though. You know,
Yes.
Well, let me be real honest, because you're right. I would have wishful thinking of Marvin Harrison, but if you look at 4 through 6, and I'm not even going to include 7 because 7 did something already. If Marvin Harrison were to fall into the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh knows him well enough to be like, yeah, I want that guy. I need that guy. That guy killed me in college. And the New York Giants, they're right up there with New England for maybe the worst receiver room in the league.
I know, it's so bad.
It's so bad. So,
Yeah.
this is a slam dunk for the Cardinals. Who, by the way, and Mark, I think you'd agree, they might have overachieved last year, but they showed a lot of flex and promise.
Well, look, they kicked my team's ass. They kicked the
Yeah, I know, knocked
Cowboys'
me out of a
ass.
suicide pool.
That too, but I mean, look, you have to give credit to that Arizona team one way or another. They shined at times. It's just when you have so much trauma and mental problems from the year before carrying over, and your organizational heads are all over the place, it's hard to put together much.
All right. Number 5 is the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego. As we mentioned, new head coach Jim Harbaugh comes back into the NFL. Justin Herbert's new contract kicks in. Mike Williams is now a New York Jet. Keenan Allen is now a Chicago Bear. Austin Eckler is now a Washington Commander. And Dan, with the number 5 overall pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego don't select Ron Burgundy, but they select.
This one was to me a little bit difficult for me to choose, but I feel like Malik Neighbors will be snatched by the Chargers at 5. Know the face, Mike.
No, I agree with you. I don't think this was difficult because I know everyone says you got to protect Herbert, but I don't even know who's catching passes from Herbert.
Exactly. I mean, the Chargers will find someone
Yeah.
to protect him. Like it's not very hard. I mean, a lot of teams have shown. Commanders have shown it. The Jets have shown it. It's not very hard to find some offensive lineman in the market. Like I think that it's out there. So no,
And
that's up.
Michigan's offensive line is going to see some guys go in the second and third rounds. Who coached at Michigan? Oh yeah, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
This is for me. This is another slam dunk. Just go get Malik Neighbors. He's a game changer for Herbs and that big arm. And look, the Chargers are starting to enter a territory now where they were years ago under Marty Schottenheimer. It's time to see what you could do in the playoffs.
That's a stretch. I mean, Schottenheimer, really?
No. But what I mean is they got to start winning some big games.
I mean, I agree with you, but I don't know if they're under that territory. This is Harbaugh year 1. Like,
No. But it's not just about Harbaugh for me. It's more about Justin Herbert because everyone wants to classify Justin Herbert in the class of the elite, and he's very good. But the famous memory I have of Justin Herbert is his team blowing a 27-0 lead in the playoffs against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I guess.
And now your new contract kicks in, and out goes your Pro Bowl wide receivers and your Pro Bowl running back, and you bring in a guy who gets his pants at Walmart, shout out Walmart, who's owned by a division rival. Come on, Harbaugh, you got to be better than this. But I think they're getting for me, they're getting close to that territory.
Well, right now, if Justin Herbert is throwing a pass, the only person I know who's catching is Quentin Johnson. That's really about it.
Year.
And just what I was about to say, and he dropped more than he actually caught. This is an actual conundrum that I've been going back and forth on. And the two of them are about to laugh at me because they brought up a trade earlier. I actually have the Chargers trading out of this spot because of the amount of what they need. They need to acquire more picks. I see the Chargers trading down with the Minnesota Vikings and making the trade there to bring in JJ McCarthy.
That is a
That is where
massive drop. That would not make any sense.
McCarthy, look, over the last few weeks, mind you, if you asked me 6 months ago who this guy was, I couldn't tell you. Okay, when it comes to college football, I have to study. I've been looking up on this kid, and look, no, he's not your Tom Brady. He's not a Peyton Manning. He's not a Joe Namath. But this kid has got a lot of talent, and he can sling the ball. He's good at reading routes, and he's quick on his feet. And you pair this kid up with Thomas Jefferson Jr., grandson, whatever, as Mike said, and probably one of my favorite picks from last year's draft, Jordan Addison. You got one of the best tight ends in TJ Hawkinson. This is a slam dunk for this kid. You give this kid the most powerful weapons, except for a running back, really, but that you can deal with.
Well,
This
Aaron
is
Jones
where,
there.
this is where I see
Kicked your ass in the wild card game.
everybody kicked my ass in the wild card game. This is where I see a drastic change in a lot of philosophy.
Mhm.
And I think this kid could have a little bit more talent than people are thinking.
My thing on McCarthy, and this isn't me just hating on the kid, but look at what he had at Michigan. He had an elite offensive line, he had an elite running back, and he had a great defense. So I need to see from him in the pressure spot how he plays. Now, he was great this year, and he was great in the national title game.
Yeah.
But this is the NFL is a different animal. I'm not firmly sold on JJ McCarthy. That being said, I will probably wind up having to draft him in my dynasty league because he'll make me eat my words. But but I also think he's probably a guy like Michael Penix and even Bo Nix. He might have to sit. Where I think you could throw Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels in right away. Drake May, I'm on the fence. I love him, but I don't know if you could start him right. All right. Number 6, the New York Giants. It's funny because upstate there's a city called Rome, New York. Rome Odunze, the Washington wide receiver. Listen, if Neighbors and Harrison are gone, and listen, I will be the first person who will. I'll be the first person to tell you. My favorite player in this draft is Brock Bowers. And if Darren Waller decides he wants to not play football anymore, this pick changes and I go Brock Bowers.
Interesting.
But the New York Giants need weapons on the outside. I'm tired of Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins. Where someone call Amani Toomer, Ike Hilliard, and Joe Juravicius for Pete's sake.
They can bring Plaxico Burst back. He can play on one leg.
Just don't let him go to a nightclub. But here's the thing. I don't care if it's Daniel Jones. I don't care if it's Eli Manning or Fran Tarkenton. They don't have anybody. So go get Roma Odunze. I don't know how to say the last name. Go get yourself a receiver. Now you can evaluate quarterback later. But the more pressing need is talent on the outside.
See, I'm with you about what the Giants need to do. But to me, unfortunately, what they're gonna do is draft a quarterback.
If you say JJ McCarthy,
I'm telling you, man.
Oh my God.
I know it sounds weird, but something I smell the Giants being the Giants again and drafting JJ McCarthy out of Michigan. It's not the pick that they should be taking, but I have this really strange feeling that the Giants are going to do it again and they're going to pick a quarterback.
If the Giants take a quarterback, as Bill Murphy is my witness, I'm going to find Brian Dable. I'm going to rub his bald head like it is a crystal ball and go and just yell into it. What are you doing? McCarthyism was back in the 1930s, for Pete's sake.
Oh. Mike and Dan put it very, very clear is that the Giants have nothing. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a running back. They don't have wide receivers. They don't have a tight end. Basically, this team should just go down to the XFL and let the winner from that team just replace them. However, we can't do that. As weapons go, though, the weakest spot for me on the Giants is the receiver spot. And this is where I see LSU Malik Neighbors heading. I know that Dan and Mike had him going a lot earlier, and I understood why. I think he's a perfect fit for New York. The only problem is he's got to have someone who can get him the ball. This kid has got a lot of talent and is going to break records at one point in his career. I think he's that good. The fact that this is a quarterback heavy draft is the only reason why he falls so far. And it's not because of lack of talent, it's just lack of option at the moment. And this is where the New York Giants pick up a brilliant weapon.
Yeah, listen, I love Neighbors, and you could sit and wait on the quarterback because, well, listen, I know the top of the draft is heavy. The bottom part, Michael Pratt out of Tulane, pretty good. Spencer Rattler, South Carolina. There's also next year free agency. What does the future hold for a guy like Russell Wilson? Because he's not going to be the quarterback of the Steelers forever because they got Justin Fields. What's the future mark of your guy, Dak Prescott?
Prescott has already, I think Jerry Jones said it perfectly clear. No extension.
Right.
That's it.
So if argument's sake, I'm not saying this to poke you,
No.
but anything less of getting to the NFC Championship game is going to be a failure in Dallas.
And you're going to see Trey Lance as the new quarterback of the
right,
Cowboys.
Dak's out. McCarthy's going back to the buffet.
And the Cowboys get $55 million in cap space to go rebuild that team.
Right. So that's what the Giants can poke their head into free agency with Dak. So,
God. I swear I would actually buy Corpus Christi a Dak jersey if he went to the Giants.
Somewhere Quincy Carter is smiling.
Yeah, no. I can't do it.
Didn't he sign with the Giants or was that the Jets?
I think he signed with the Jets and then was arrested for the 8th time in like 3 weeks. So,
All right, Mark. At number 7, a team that's had a pretty busy offseason, the Tennessee Titans.
And you can arguably say it's got to be one of the best off seasons in the NFL. Right now, Tony Pollard comes over and it's a change of pace for a Titans running game that was mostly driven, heavy Marshawn Lynch pound the ball through. Now they're going to somebody with Tony Pollard who's got a little bit more catch ball out of the field. But there's one thing, you need to protect your quarterback. And there is nobody else I see better than Joe Alt going to the Tennessee Titans to shore up that offensive line and open up holes for Tony Pollard, and also to buy a little bit of extra time to get that ball down to those receivers.
No, I am with you, Mark Olop's guy. I had Joel from the get-go. I mean, this guy will be a main protector on the offensive line. He will help find some holes for Tony Pollard and ultimately give whoever the quarterback will be, probably Will Levis,
Right.
the time he needs to throw. You have Ridley, you have Hopkins. Get it done. Get it done.
Yeah, this is all about evaluating Will Levis. That's why you go get Calvin Ridley. It's why you have DeAndre Hopkins. It's why you bring in Tony Pollard. Will Levis was sacked last year. I want to see if I had the number. The Titans were tied for 4th last year in sacks allowed. Can't do it.
It's not going to change overnight, but
no, but it's a starting point. Kind of like what the Colts did when they got Quentin Nelson. Ironically enough, Notre Dame.
Great comparison.
What does Notre Dame churn out? Offensive linemen and leprechauns as mascot. That's what Notre Dame churns out. So,
no offense to Notre Dame or Bill Corpus Christi Murphy.
And you had Charlie Weiss as your football coach. He stunk, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me Joe All. It's all protecting Will Levis from doing his Levi jeans commercials. All right. Dan, at number 8, we've got the Atlanta Falcons, who they found their quarterback, so they're no longer drafting one.
Yeah, but they will get their edge guy. And to me, Dallas Turner will be right there for the taking.
So you're going to take Dallas Turner?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry.
No, that's why I got distracted for a second. Mark?
Atlanta had, by bringing in Kirk Cousins, absolutely a shocker. Question is Kirk Cousins going to last 4 seasons? Is really my question. However, I kind of agree with Dan. I see Dallas Turner being a good fit, but I think they need to go get Cousins one more weapon. Welcome Ronald Oduzier to the Atlanta Falcons. That is going to give Kirk Cousins the deep ball threat that he's going to be missing from Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison. I see Mike laughing at me already. It's okay.
I'm laughing because
Or I butchered the poor guy's
ironically-
last name. I mean,
ironically enough, as much as I am against McCarthyism, and the Atlanta Falcons are not taking a quarterback because of the Kirk Cousins thing, the Atlanta Falcons aren't picking here.
interesting.
So Russell Wilson was a Denver Bronco for 2 years. It stunk, but they got that Walmart money. The Denver Broncos moved to 8, and they select J.J. McCarthy, and that is the guy Sean Payton wants to mold into his next QB1.
It is very interesting. It's not out of line. Though. It's not out of line.
No, not at
Really
all.
can happen.
That's actually really something to look at.
And here's the kicker, and it really got me as I was focusing in on this. J.J. McCarthy may not be the biggest guy, but the mobility, little bit on the out, kind of reminds you of another Bronco.
It's true.
Tim freaking Tebow.
Yeah, except the difference is JJ McCarthy can throw the ball.
No, you didn't let me finish the joke.
Oh.
So Tim Tebow, whose best friend is John Elway. JJ McCarthy could be this Denver's version of what John Elway was in the 90s. I'm not sold on McCarthy, but if Sean Payton's getting his pick at quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised if it's JJ McCarthy.
Okay.
All right. 9, we have the Bears again, because this is their actual pick, not the one they got from the Panthers. And this is where I have Mark's favorite player going. Dallas Turner, you are a Chicago Bear.
Go Bear.
You need to in this division with Jared Goff, whoever's going to play quarterback for the Vikings, and Jordan Love. You need to be able to get there. Dallas Turner's so good. He drove from Dallas to Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Let me tell you, Mike and I are in 100% agreement. Not to take away from Dan making the move with Atlanta, because I don't disagree with that either. It would help the team exponentially. But the Chicago Bears, like Mike said, need to be able to put pressure on quarterbacks, especially the ones in the NFC North with Love and Goff and whatever you want to put it, that other team. But
a statue of Dante Culpepper.
Yeah. Here is where you see Dallas Turner come in and really have an amazing season in Chicago.
All right, Dan.
So this guy is going to build his Roman Empire and stomp it on the grounds as their top receiver in Chicago. And I think it's a great trio that they will have in Chicago with Caleb Williams. Rome Odunze, I really think he'll fit perfectly there. I really do.
All right. And Dan, I'm coming to you first on this one because at number 10, we heard all the reports at the league meetings that Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas had it. Joe Douglas, Woody Johnson had it out. Woody Johnson denied the allegation, although he yelled about it NFL Network, even though he's technically an owner of NFL Network.
Yeah, those reports have now been walked back a little bit. It was Colleen Wolfe that made the initial report, citing her reliable source, quote unquote. That has now been walked back because there were several other people who were at those meetings who saw the exchange between Salah and Woody, and it was not as bad as she made it out to be. Which
or
once
she, her,
again,
she's not there.
which once again reinforces my point. The reason why people make these reports about the Jets is because they hate the Jets. They want to embarrass the Jets. They want nothing more than to suck the life out of the Jets and to make us
Which they
look
do enough
horrible
of
because
that
we're a horrible
themselves.
franchise.
Am I wrong?
Uh,
All right. So Dan at 10, where do the Jets go?
I want them to trade out of 10 so they can get Marvin Harrison Jr. That's not gonna happen. No, it's gonna be the tight end Brock Bowers. I really do think they're gonna pick him. It's probably not gonna be the smartest pick because I think they already have a good tight end in Jeremy Ruckert, Strong Island's own Jeremy
Long
Ruckert.
Island legend.
But no, I mean it would be tough to pass up a good tight end in Brock Bowers. Like that, if he's there and no one else that I want is there, I would definitely want the Jets to have that strong guy that could block, that can potentially catch and everything. It'd be too good to pass up Brock Bowers.
Mark?
I can't disagree with Dan. I think that's really the right move. However, that's not what I have them doing. You got Aaron Rodgers coming back, and you have to pray to God the guy doesn't break his ankle on the second play of the game. You need weapons to help Rodgers around, but I don't think the Jets need to go fast and pick up a wide receiver here. I think they need to really get a little bit more help on that offensive line to help protect Rodgers. And that's why I have, Oregon State. I'm going to butcher this poor guy's name. Talisi Fuaga. Sorry, I do not mean to horribilize your name, but may Roger Goodell say it worse than I do. This kid, I had to watch a little bit of film on him and to see why he would be right. He's got a good, strong reach with his arms. He can push back, and that's what Aaron Rodgers needs. Aaron Rodgers doesn't need 12 seconds. Aaron Rodgers needs that 3 seconds in the pocket to be able to get the ball out. This signing would definitely give them a little bit of an up edge on the line.
To steal Mark's owner's phrase, the New York Jets have to be all in this year because you don't know what Aaron Rodgers is thinking after this year.
Fair.
So, what was the biggest problem last year? They couldn't protect Aaron Rodgers. They couldn't protect Zach Wilson. I mean, Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian, you knew what you were getting into when you played those guys. So I think Mark's right. So this offseason, they bring in Tyron Smith, who, Mark, you get a test, banged up every year.
Tyron Smith hasn't completed a season in the last 5 years. Full season.
He doesn't have to, though, by the way.
And Morgan Moses, who, let's be real honest here, Morgan Moses has been around since Moses parted the seas. Let's be real honest. So I'm with you, Mark. I think they have to go offensive line, and they got to think about the left tackle of the future. That's why I would go Oli Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State.
I had him at second spot.
To me, this is not just about Aaron Rodgers. This is thinking about life after Aaron Rodgers. despite them having to not kind of wanting to think about it. But Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they need a big year because otherwise they're on a different line. And it's not a chorus line on
I was
Broadway.
about to say it's not the O line.
And no, but they need to work on the O line.
Yeah. My only counter to that is I feel like the Jets can also, draft an O lineman late in this draft too. And
They
can't
could.
go wrong.
No, there's a lot of linemen in this draft.
So you really can't go wrong here. I mean, they have a lot of decisions to make.
It's kind of what tickles your fancy, but I go off of the thing Mark said before about Tyron Smith. He hasn't been healthy for a full season in a few years. So I don't want them, if you're a fan, you don't want them scraping a random guy off the practice squad before you got to play a game against, I'll use them as my example, Baltimore with that defense. So I think this way you have a young left tackle of future because you missed on Mekhi Becton big time. And this is your way of kind of easing this guy in.
You know what kind of stinks? And I know the Jets had to get rid of him because he wasn't performing up to par. But Laken Tomlinson, man, if he was still, I know he wasn't performing great, but he was available all the time, man.
And he's still available. He's still out there. And I got to be honest with you, Dan. I'm going to say this out of fandom. He played in San Francisco for Mike McDaniel. I would have no problems signing Laken Tomlinson. You know why? Because he's LaDainian's third cousin, LT. I have no idea if that's true. I need everybody.
But no, well, we because we wouldn't be having conversations about the Jets trying to find another O lineman if he was still here.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's my opinion, but they had to do it. He was not performing up to par, and you're not going to force the team to keep someone that they don't think is valuable enough. So
exactly.
All right. Before we sign off, Mark, you want to just recap your 1 through 10?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? No, let Dan go first.
Okay, Dan, go.
Let Dan go first because I'm going to hear how embarrassing mine are again.
Okay. Caleb Williams, 1 going to Chicago. Number 2 is going to be Jaden Daniels going to Washington. Number 3, it'll be the Vikings trading with the Patriots, taking Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr. 4 going to Arizona. The Chargers taking Malik Neighbors. The Giants taking McCarthy. Joel going to Tennessee at 7. Dallas Turner 8 going to the Falcons. Number 9 Chicago. Rome Odunze. And 10 Brock Bowers, New York Jets.
Now more
like to go?
Now I'm more looser now. Just kidding. So I still have 1 trading out with the New England Patriots. New England Patriots move up to 1, taking Caleb Williams. Excuse me. Drake May goes to Washington. Jaden Daniels ends up going. God, I'm like coughing up my lungs here. Jesus. Followed by the 1 pick who I wanted to come to Chicago because I would love to have seen it, but Marvin Harrison goes to Kyler Murray at 4. Minnesota makes the trade with the Los Angeles Chargers to take J.J. McCarthy. The Giants get Malik Neighbors at deserving number 7. The big man, Joe Alt, goes where he needs to go. Number 8, the Falcons take Rome Odunze. If I butchered your name, I'm sorry again. Number 9, the edge man himself, Dallas Turner. And number 10, Talise Fugaga to help shore up that line. Let me tell you, if you've ever listened to me announce hockey or Japanese baseball, it's a lot worse.
Oh, man. Listen, I think we're going to have to do a breakaway just with you pronouncing names.
I'll make you a deal. I'll do that if you go on and do rugby names.
You know what? I'll look into rugby names.
Yeah.
You know what? But the next time I do SIP, I'll just name off random rugby players as I
Rugby
Google
people.
search them.
My basic answer with hockey is anybody has an Ivanovic last part of their name, they're good. You know, that's easy to tell.
No, you need no, Mike. You need to give him SKJ because that's a no.
All right. For me
By the
at
way,
one,
for all the Ranger fans out there, you understand
yeah.
that.
As for me at one, I got the Bears taking Caleb Williams. Two, the Commanders take Jaden Daniels. Three, Vikings straight up from 11 to draft Drake May. Even though the draft is going to be in April, they select a guy named May. But who thinks about these things? Four, the Cards take Marvin Harrison Jr. Five, the Chargers take Malik Neighbors. Six, the Giants take Rome Dunes. Yay. Seven, the Titans alter the draft by taking Joe Alt. At eight, the Broncos move up from with a trade in a trade with the Falcons, take JJ McCarthy because they believe in McCarthyism. Nine, the Bears take Dallas Turner, and 10, the Jets take Oli Fashanu.
Rudy Campos Jr. here for Sweep the League and the Sports Insanity Network. It is NFL draft time. We are here to do the first 10 picks of an NFL mock draft. We'll get right to it here. Let's go ahead and go with the first pick overall, and that is the Chicago Bears. Now, I feel that the Bears are obviously going to go with Caleb Williams. I personally would rather them go with the Jaden Daniels or maybe a Drake May, or possibly just trade down a few picks. I mean, you can probably trade down with Minnesota, who desperately wants to get into the top three, grab both of those first round picks. You still draft at 9, can still get a quarterback there. They've obviously built a very good offense. The additions of DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, you've got Cole Kmet and DJ Moore there. They've made some upgrades on the offensive line. They are prepared for a rookie quarterback to come in and lead this team. But for mock's sake purposes, the popular pick is Caleb Williams. I feel that the Bears will go with Caleb Williams. On his pro day, he was wearing Bears gear. Also, Keenan Allen was there for the pro day workout as well, representing the Chicago Bears. All the signs are pointing to the Bears taking Caleb Williams. Would they trade out from number 1? It would not surprise me if they did. But like I said, for no trades in this mock draft and for mock sakes, I think the popular pick is going to be Caleb Williams. I see the Bears taking Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. So as we see Caleb Williams coming off the board at number 1, this goes to the Washington Commanders at 2. Again, no Sam Howell there. They did end up signing Marcus Mariota. Also reached an agreement with Austin Eckler. So he pretty much shores up the running back situation there. They added Jamison. They re-signed Jamison Crowder as well. Signed Zach Ertz. So you're getting a couple of weapons there. They were really confident in building up that defense in Washington, which they were able to do. They were able to sign 2 free agents, Clelin Ferrell and Dante Fowler Jr. Bobby Wagner was also signed there. So I think they're going to pretty much go with the quarterback right here. Again, you've got Drake May, you've got JJ McCarthy, who's climbing up a bunch of draft boards, which I really don't see and I don't buy. I don't know if a lot of it is smokescreen. I don't think JJ McCarthy is worth the top 3 pick. We may see him go possibly somewhere here. But for me, the next guy to go off the board would be Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU, heading over to the Washington Commanders. Next, we have New England at 3. Now, with the Patriots, I mean, the whole Mac Jones situation obviously did not work out for them. You ended up seeing him go to Jacksonville, and it's almost like, did they give up on Mac Jones too quick? The possibility there, I think so. You could have easily had Mac for a little while longer, given him another year, see what he gives. You get another weapon right here with Marvin Harrison Jr. That's where I was wanting them to go, but ever since they went ahead and parted ways with Mac Jones, everything points to them getting a quarterback. Is this where JJ McCarthy comes off the board? I think they're going to go more with Drake May. Drake May does fit their style of play there. I like Drake May a lot. He's going to have to scramble a bit some there. They were able to sign Antonio Gibson. They were able to get Jacoby Brissett, who's definitely a really great bridge quarterback. able to re-sign Kendrick Bourne. KJ Osborne was signed there as long as they were able to re-sign Jalen Rieger. So they got some weapons there for the new QB that they will be selecting, which I believe right now will be Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. So now we go to the number 4 pick, where this is where I feel the first wide receiver does come off again. No trades. Personally, I think that Minnesota gets into number 4. I see the Arizona Cardinals potentially just trading down, grabbing that number 11 and number 23 pick that Minnesota does hold now. So ideally, this is probably where we're going to see the first trade of the draft. Minnesota should get up in there, probably end up getting JJ McCarthy out of Michigan. But like I said, for this mock draft, which is part of the Sports Insanity Network and Sweep the League, all a part of the Alamo City Podcast Network, we're going to go ahead and go here with Arizona. Again, they were able to acquire Desmond Ridder, who's going to be a backup for Kyler Murray. You're going to go out and get a weapon. The best weapon out there right now is Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. Would be a really good explosive weapon for Kyler Murray to have. You want to get some targets for Murray down there in Arizona. So definitely want to go here. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. Moving right along, the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers here. Now, you did see Mike Williams go. Keenan Allen is gone. Quentin Johnson becomes their best wide receiver. This is kind of a no-brainer here. You're going to probably have to go with an explosive wide receiver right here. Malik Neighbors is the guy that definitely is everybody's, probably wide receiver 1B to wide receiver 1A, and Marvin Harrison Jr. I love Malik Neighbors, explosive guy. We've seen a lot of explosive guys come out of LSU. You've got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, but with my first sort of surprise here, I get a guy who's speedy, who was very explosive this year for Washington and their quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. At the number 5 pick, I see the Los Angeles Chargers going with Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. Coming in hot here with the New York Giants at number 6. Now, Daniel Jones, I mean, this is another type where you could probably go quarterback right here, with no trades on the board right now because we're not doing any trades in this mock draft. You could see possibly JJ McCarthy going right here. Brian Devil has come out and said that he likes Michael Penix Jr. So again, could we see this where you could possibly see a trade down because you can get Penix later on in the first round? But with the New York Giants here, they obviously lost Saquon Barkley. They need a lot of help on the offensive side. Their offensive line has gotten a lot better with the signings that they were able to make. Matt Nelson, offensive tackle, Joe Runyon. I mean, it's going to help the Giants team tremendously to have a really good offensive line. This might be Daniel Jones's swan song, basically. If he doesn't get it done this year, then you obviously have to move on. But I still think they get a quarterback later on in the draft, possibly a Michael Pratt out of Tulane. But for right now, in the draft, for the first round, the New York Giants at number 6 go with an explosive wide receiver. They need this guy to build with Daniel Jones, and who better out there than LSU wide receiver Malik Neighbors to the New York Football Giants. Moving right along here, Tennessee Titans sitting at number 7. Now, the Titans, they were able to do some moves in the offseason. They were able to acquire L'Jarius Sneed, shores up their cornerback position. They were able to sign Tony Pollard. They got Calvin Ridley. So they've already given some weapons to Will Levis, and Pollard and Ridley. The signing of backup quarterback Mason Rudolph, I think, is really big. We've seen Mason come up big on a lot of plays for a lot of teams. So I think Mason Rudolph was a really good, underrated signing. They were able to sign Lloyd Cushenberry, 4-year, $50 million deal. Again, shoring up the offensive line. That's something that you want to see with these guys. They were able to sign Awuzie as well on the defensive end. So they're kind of building themselves pretty nicely here in the free agent side of things. where do I see the Titans going? I mean, there's really no better position than to go with offensive tackle right now. And I really love Joe Alt in this position. Fashanu out of Penn State is also a good one to look at. But for me, I'm going to go with Joe Alt, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. You got to make sure Will Levis is standing up straight and he's protected very well. You invested a lot in him last year. So definitely, if he's going to be your quarterback for the future, protect him, able to give Tony Pollard some running room, able to get Calvin really open for Will Levis. So definitely Joe Alt, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, is my pick for the Tennessee Titans. Sitting at number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, the big news for Atlanta in the offseason was signing Kirk Cousins to that huge $180 million deal. They were able to get wide receiver Ray McLeod signed. They re-signed Cardero Hodge. They were able to sign Darnell Mooney. So that's a very good deep threat. Also, in that Ritter deal, they were able to get another receiver in Rondell Moore. So they have pretty much solidified their wide receiver core in Atlanta. Where they tend to struggle is they've got to get help on the defensive side of things. I mean, I like their cornerbacks already. When AJ Terrell and Clark Phillips out of Utah, I was huge on Clark Phillips coming out of Utah. Safeties are Jesse Bates. I mean, they really need help with Grady Jarrett as well. As well as you got Mbekity and you got Lorenzo Carter. You got a lot of guys there, but I think you need a explosive edge. Jared Verse is really high on my list for Atlanta, but I think you're going to see the edge go to Dallas Turner, edge out of Alabama. He's going to bring some explosiveness down to Atlanta, and the defense is going to get better. They still have a lot of work to do. I feel they're going to go probably defense a couple more times in this draft, but for right now, with the number 8 pick in the first round, the Atlanta Falcons will take Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Now we've got the Chicago Bears up again at number 9. Again, I think this is one of the ones that you could see a possible trade down here for the Chicago Bears. They ended up taking Caleb Williams at 1. Again, they've got a lot of weapons on the offensive side. So it's almost like, what do you see them doing now? Can they go defense? Can they go, build up that offensive line to help out with Caleb Williams? But they've had some really good signings on the offensive line already. So, you could grab a guy here where it's possible you go get a Fashanu out of Penn State. You can let him sit a little while your guys are your veterans on the offensive line are doing all the dirty work. I mean, this could also another be where you go maybe corner. You have a Tyreek Stevenson and a Jalen Johnson already there. They probably need some edge help. It's kind of ones where I'm thinking they're going to see a trade here for Chicago because they've kind of got a lot of their voids already filled. But because we see no trades here, because we're going to go with the Bears pick here at number 9, I see them taking Jared Verse, adding to the defense. Just got to get to the quarterback. So Jared Verse out of Florida State is the pick for the Chicago Bears. Here we go with the Jets, Jets, Jets. Again, in our first 10 NFL mock draft here for Sports Insanity Network and for Sweep the League. You can find Sweep the League on Alamo City Podcast Network. Jets have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they've already got Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall is already making his name as a running back. They just signed Mike Williams. So Rodgers has weapons. Now, it's always the offensive line here when it comes to the New York Jets. They've got to get a lot better on the offensive line. And, we could easily say, well, it's a no-brainer because you've got to go offensive line, right? And you know what? You're right. I mean, for me, they ended up signing Tyron Smith. They were able to acquire Morgan Moses out of Baltimore on that kind of deal, signed John Simpson to a 2-year deal. I still think you need a lot of help on the offensive line. So in this case, you got to go with the best available on the offensive line. So they give me Fashanu out of Penn State, offensive tackle for the New York Jets, Jets, Jets. And that concludes the first 10 picks for the Sports Insanity Network for Sweep the League here, the NFL mock draft, our first 10 picks of the NFL mock draft. I will be doing more mock drafts for the Sports Insanity Network. But for now, these are the first 10 picks for the Sports Insanity Network and Sweep the League's mock draft.
All right. That'll do it for this SIN special talking about the NFL draft. Next week at some point, we will do picks 11 through 20 or 21.
11 through 21.
11 through 21. You check this out wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Follow us on the socials, Twitter at SInsanityReal. We are also on Facebook. But until next week, for the old ops guy, for Danny Boy Reginald, I'm Mike Grifkin. We'll talk to you all next week as we continue our preview of the NFL draft. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter. And make sure you get a lot of chocolate.
Good chocolate too.
Good chocolate. Yeah. Nothing tops good chocolate.